What is going on, my fellow dwarfs? Today we're going to be going over some of the builds I use going into missions for Has 5 and any of that difficulty. So, some people have been wanting to know what I use. I usually show them in the beginning of the mission, but I don't specifically go into big detail about it. So we are starting off with Gunner here. Alright, everyone's favorite, Gunner. I am going to talk about all of his primaries first, and then his secondaries. And mind you, anything I say here is purely my opinion. It is not how you should play the game. It's not why you should use it, or it's all about the reason why I use these builds. Alright? And any of these builds, you can mix match them, do whatever you want. And first up here is going to be Gunner's minigun. Alright? I personally bring Burning Hell with this build. In this build, I take 2, 1, 3, 1, 3. So, in that, I take fire rate, ammo, blow through, damage, and hot bullets. So what we're going to talk about here is, for this build specifically, this is, or at least for this gun, with Burning Hell, this is going to help you deal with crowd control, and it will also help you deal with bigger enemies. I do not use this build for dreadnoughts. I would never bring this for a dreadnought mission, but this is an everything else type of build. This can even deal with robots, or the rival presence. It can deal with rival presence really well. Now, we're going to get into it. I take fire rate. Main reason I take the fire rate upgrade is with this build, you want this gun to overheat pretty quickly. Now, you take fire rate to get your heat up quickly, so you can take advantage of the hot bullets. And you take blow through on tier 3 to help with crowd control. And the damage upgrade, this is completely just here for damage. That's it. It's just a little bit more on the edge. And ammo is ammo. You can go for full damage if you want. I prefer ammo because that 3,000 bullets really does matter versus 2,400. And the main reason I use this is on tier 5, you don't have to use hot bullets. I use hot bullets with this because Burning Hell is a close quarters overclock. You'll be fighting up close, like within pickaxe range, with this overclock if you get used to it. But if you use it with hot bullets, it will allow you to have a bit of range on top of just shooting the minigun. But when you start overheating, you'll have heat buildup on your shots. That'll help you with long range. But the main reason I love using Burning Hell is if you use it with aggressive venting. That's what I used to use with this a lot. If you don't want to use hot bullets, use it with aggressive venting. Because Burning Hell will help you overheat your gun. Now, in most scenarios, that is not what you want to do with the minigun. But when you're using Burning Hell, it works perfectly with aggressive venting. So if you ever get surrounded, you need to clear off somebody's down body, or you just need some space. Now let's say you don't have any shields. Guess what? Overheat your gun, you will clear a 10-meter radius around you. It will fear and ignite every enemy near you. It is amazing. But I've played with it so much, usually I don't get stuck in those sticky scenarios. So I like hot bullets. Now that is for the minigun. This isn't going to be the craziest video, but we're going to get into it. Second one will be for the Thunderhead heavy autocannon. This one I don't use that much, to be honest, but what I do use on it is the Big Bertha. She is a beauty, alright? I take 3, 2, 3, 1, 1. Alright, so I take the ammo upgrade on tier 1. The fire rate upgrade on tier 2. I'll explain about that in a second. The extra damage on tier 3. Armor breaking on tier 4. And damage on tier 5. Right? So, to start off first, tier 1. It kind of explains itself. The ammo upgrade gives you, as you can see down there near ammo, gives you 220 shots. That is huge. As much as I would love 3 damage, 220 shots is too much ammo to ignore. Too much. On tier 3, The reason I don't take accuracy on 1 here on tier 2, I said tier 3, I meant tier 2. On tier 2, I don't take the accuracy because this overclock makes your base spread smaller, so you're already more accurate with it. And you don't take lighter barrel assembly because this is how fast your growth speed is when shooting faster. So the gun speeds up as you continuously shoot. With Big Bertha, your top fire rate without the fire rate upgrade is 4 shots a second. That is horrible. The only way to make that better is if you take improved gas system. Alright? Because if you take lighter barrel, you can get up to that 4 shots a second really quickly, but you're not going to shoot any faster than 4. If you take improved gas system, you will go up to 6. And that will help this overclock a lot better. Now, I take extra direct damage on tier 3, just because it's another 4 damage, and it'll make you hit harder. Once again, you can swap it out for extra fire rate, because the overclock does good damage, so you can sacrifice that if you want. I prefer more damage. On tier 4, I take armor breaking, because in my opinion, there's no reason to take splash radius, because Big Bertha lowers... Sorry, it doesn't lower any of that. On Big Bertha, you're mostly looking to do direct damage, not splash. So, getting your shots to break off armor quicker means that direct damage will do more. Rather than, for area damage, that would be the only thing going through armor. But if you break off the armor, you can do the damage. Final tier kind of explains itself. Feedback loop. It's just extra damage when you're at max fire rate. Since your fire rate's only 6, it doesn't take long to get there. Another good one is if you want to use fear. Fear is really good on the Thunderhead. But that covers my build for the Thunderhead. This one is... I would bring this... this is more an overall build. You can use it for about anything. It's decent against Dreadnoughts, and it's good against everything else. I wouldn't say it's the best because it does shoot pretty slow, but it is really fun to use. Now, we're going to talk about the Hurricane. This is one of my favorite builds I do with it, and this can be used, at least in my opinion, in every scenario, right? The overclock I bring with this is called Salvo Module. Alright? Fire up to 9 rockets simultaneously. Extra damage for each rocket loaded. The only penalty is you cannot steer those rockets. You can't turn them, you can't do loops with them. They just shoot forward. But that negative doesn't always apply. If you tap fire the gun, your single shot rounds will actually move with your cursor. Now for what I use for it. I bring 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So, ammo kind of explains itself. I would love to take damage or splash radius, but this gun doesn't have a lot of ammo. Normally, it comes with 288 rounds. With the overclock, or with this upgrade, it's 360. That is huge. Tier 2 is up to whatever you want to do. You can use velocity, or you can use armor breaking. It doesn't matter. For this, I bring armor breaking, just because it helps get your damage through a little bit better. Tier 3, I take the magazine upgrade, because with this overclock, you will normally charge it to shoot 9 rockets at once. Meaning, if you only have a 36 mag, you're only going to be able to shoot it a couple times at its full strength. So, if you take the magazine size, you'll be able to shoot it more consistently. But with Salvo Module, the loading speed of you charging rockets is based off your fire rate. So when you're holding down the trigger, or on mouse, holding down the mouse button, you'll charge, right now my fire rate's at 3. So when you're charging the rockets, you only charge 3 per second. If you want that to go up, it's based on your fire rate. So if you take the fire rate upgrade, you will charge it quicker. For Tier 4, this is purely based on what you are doing. If you want overall use, take Zip Feel. It's great, works in every scenario. It makes it even easier to deal with hordes because you're not worrying about anything. But if you are bringing this for a Dreadnought mission, or you're going to be fighting a lot of big bad enemies, take the shrapnel load, because that 50% weak point damage bonus will help tremendously on this. Against things like Praetorians and Oppressors, one fully charged all 9 rockets will usually take a third or about half their HP in one go. Amazing for straight damage. But if you're also dealing with crowd control, that's where Zip Field comes in handy. You charge up a full load of rockets, and it turns into a shotgun blast. If you have a little bit more range with it, you will just flat out destroy an entire crowd of enemies. On tier 5, you can take napalm rounds with this, because with salvo module, you are guaranteed to ignite everything you hit. As long as you have 3 rockets charged, you're guaranteed to ignite them. I personally take stun, because you're also guaranteed to stun everything too with this, because of how many rockets come out at once. You're likely going to stun that target. I would not take nitroglycerin compound, because that is based on how long your rockets are in the air. And this is a close range overclock, because when you shoot all 9 rockets, you don't get to guide them, and they shoot in a square. So they spread out as they go. It's like a shotgun, basically. So nitroglycerin compound will not play an effect on this build whatsoever. These first 2 options in tier 5, I would take. But that covers the primary weapons. I know this isn't the most in-depth, but this is why I like to use them. Most of these guns can be used in any scenario. The minigun, I would not bring that for Dreadnought missions. At least with this build. This build would not bring for Dreadnought missions. But we're going on to the secondaries for Gunner. Alright? So, for the heavy revolver, I am bringing volatile bullets. You can kind of think to yourself why I would bring this. I'm going to go ahead and go over the tiers. Throughout the tiers, I use 1, 3, 3, 1, 1. Alright? So, on tier 1, it's completely up to you. I prefer faster reload, but if you're having trouble hitting your shots because there's spread on it, this revolver is really bad about consecutive hits at long range. So if you're trying to hit something at long range without having to wait 1 or 2 seconds for your accuracy to recover, take the accuracy upgrade instead. You'll have a slower reload, but it'll help you consistently hit shots. On tier 2, I take ammo because, in my opinion, this weapon has like no ammo. Damage would be fantastic on volatile bullets. That is what I'm using. I don't know if I mentioned that. Damage would be fantastic on it, but you get down to 36 extra shots. It doesn't seem like very much. So I prefer ammo. Tier 4, this one, it's really good. Honestly, you could do this in many ways. Or sorry, not tier 4, tier 3. Tier 3, all of these options are fantastic. Just depends on what scenario you are using it. Blow through, fantastic. That's really good for crowd control. So is explosive rounds. Explosive rounds, fantastic for crowd control. It just depends on how you use them. Blow through will work better if you're lining up targets. Explosive rounds are better if targets are already close to each other. Now, I don't take either of those, granted. I use hollow point rounds, because when I'm using volatile bullets, I'm using it to kill big targets. I don't use it on small targets, or I'm using it on far away targets like septic spreaders and acid spitters. They like to keep their range. This will help you pick them off, and if you can hit their weak points. Tier 4, it's completely up to you again. This would be a better tier to take damage if you want it. But if you take a look at it, if you go full damage with this build, right, you only get 24 extra shots, but you do 70 damage. So it's all up to you. I prefer full ammo. So, but that's why I take ammo. Tier 5, this one is up to you. If you want even more damage, Neurotoxic Coating helps have that damage over time. But I prefer Deadeye, because Deadeye will help you with moving and shooting. You're able to run around, shoot what you want, and not worry about your accuracy being poor. Now we're going to talk about volatile bullets, because I kind of forgot about talk about that. Volatile bullets makes you deal massive damage to burning targets. So you deal 300% more damage. So if you change how that works, if you change the percentage into multiplication, that is 4 times damage. That's what 300% equals to. You deal less direct damage, but this build I combo with. You can combo it with the minigun, with Burning Hell. That's why I like it. Or if you take napalm rounds for the Hurricane, you can also combo that with it. And if you do that, you have a very powerful weapon for killing big targets. But it's not good for dreadnoughts. It's good for dreadnoughts if you use another build. But volatile bullets, trying to catch a dreadnought on fire is really hard to do. Alright, we're going to go to the next one. Just to glance over it, most of my primaries are built for crowd control, not always single target. So that's where all my secondaries mostly come in. For the burst fire gun, I use lead spray. Significant damage boost at the cost of spread. This overclock is a beast, and you've seen it in some of the videos I've done in the past. Your spread, it doesn't even show you how much spread you have. It's just at a base 100%. It doesn't even show you. When you put this on, it increases your spread by 300. Alright? Meaning, with this build, you will not be using it for long range. You'll be using this for close to mid-range, depending on how big the target is. But you will shred through enemies using this. Now, for the tiers, I use 1, 3, 2, 2, 2. We're going to go over that. For this build, I only ever take extra damage, because that's going to take you from 36 to that beautiful 40. Amazing. Oh, sorry. I'm pretty sure on. Okay. It's 32 normally, but you're up to 32 damage with this without any damage upgrades. But I take the damage on tier 1, and I take the burst. Sorry, I take the fire rate upgrade on tier 2. It'll help you be able to consistently use burst fires between enemies. So if you're using this against a Praetorian, you can go up to them and quickly shoot multiple times and practically kill them in 1 to 3 bursts. I take damage on tier 3, just because damage go burr. It's great. I take ammo. This one, on tier 4, it's completely up to you. I wouldn't suggest using armor breaking, because with this overclock, you're not looking to break armor. You're looking to hit weak points only. So I would exclude armor breaking. I use extra ammo because extra ammo is fantastic with this. There's no downside like you're trading damage or something. It's just extra ammo. Or, like how I usually use it, or this is not how I usually use it, how you could use it, is you can take hollow point rounds. Like I said, you normally are using this overclock, or this build, for hidden weak points, specifically on big enemies. So hollow point rounds will make you do so much more damage too. But it's at the cost of 72 bullets. I'm not a fan of that trade-off. I like having almost 200 rounds. It's a beauty. Tier 5, it is completely up to you. For me, I prefer my burst size, how many shots you shoot per burst. I like having it at 6, because that means you can do a large chunk of damage really quickly. But you can take burst stun if you prefer to stun targets, and you can keep shooting them then, and then they can't fight back. But I prefer longer burst, because that will allow you to do a huge amount of damage. With this overclock, one burst will do 240 damage. And one burst. Mind you, you can shoot it 4 times before reloading. Now that's a lot of damage. Alright, on to the next one. We're done with that gun. Now we're on to the coil gun. This gun is so much different than the other 2 guns before. Because, oh, I also didn't say, this gun, I don't use it for any specific build. Ignore that notification. I don't use this for any specific build. If I need big damage, but I don't want to trade off anything on my primary, I will use this. Alright. I had to say that because I completely forgot to tell you why I use it. That's purely for damage. Now the coil gun. Coil gun is an amazing weapon. I bring Hellfire with this. Hellfire will leave a trail that ignites enemies. Negatives is it reduces your ammo, the charge up time is slower, and your trail duration will be shorter as well. But the upsides, amazing. For this overclock, well, let me just go over the tiers. I use 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna go ahead and explain that. I take ammo on tier 1, overcharger on tier 2, tier 3 I take stun, tier 4 I take shockwave, these two don't really matter to me, and tier 3 I take electrical trail. Now, for this overclock, I'm not looking to do a lot of single target damage, but you still can. You can trade off, on tier 1, you can trade off ammo for damage if you want, but you lose quite a bit of ammo for doing so. Or you can take trail duration, and then cancel out the negatives of the overclock. I don't really care about any of that. I prefer ammo. Because when you're using Hellfire, if you're using it for crowd control, or even against big targets, Hellfire will ignite the enemies, and they will be on fire. On tier 2, this is where it comes in handy. Overcharger will give you a bonus 100 damage if you're able to charge more past its max charge. So, this gun does a base 130 damage. If you just charge it and keep going a little longer, you'll do 230. That is huge. That's almost as much as the burst gun in one shot. And that's not including the fire damage you'll get from Hellfire. Tier 3, I take the stun upgrade because when you're using this for crowd control or using it against big enemies, it will keep them in the fire and electricity. It'll keep them within the trail. So they'll stay in there, get ignited, and die. Tier 4, this is completely up to you. I don't really care either one, but most times when I'm dealing with bigger enemies, and the way I like to use this gun is I like to make loops around big enemies, and this gun will pierce all enemies. So normally looping around one big enemy and then shooting through them to hit multiple other enemies is how I prefer to use it. So I'm usually up close with this. All this overclock does, or all this upgrade does, is adds 20 extra damage when you're up close to something. But it's completely up to you. The damage resistance is amazing too. On tier 5, to make the duration and the trail effect even better, not the duration, sorry, to make the trail effect even better, I take electrical trail. That's so when you shoot the gun, not only do you have a stun, you have fire, and you have electricity. So you have 3 things affecting an enemy. Stun, they're not moving. Electricity, they're taking damage over time and are slowed down. So for things like oppressors who don't get stunned often, this will even slow them down. And Hellfire will ignite anything just about. So this is also really good for clearing robots. But if you don't want to take that, what also makes good sense when using this is the Necrothermal Chrysalis. All this does is when an enemy is on fire and you kill them with this gun, they will explode, catching other enemies on fire and dealing massive damage to them. This is a really good combo with Hellfire if you plan on using it for crowd control and you plan on shooting more than once. Or, if you want to make your trail radius a lot better than it is with Hellfire, take the trail radius upgrade, the area of effect. It will help you with trail radius, and it'll help you against flyers, getting more grunts in the radius, all types of things. I take electricity because it just means one more type of damage on that shot. And with all these overclocks said, it just depends on how you want to use them. All of these overclocks I mix match depending on what I want to use. If I'm using the Hurricane for single target, for a Dreadnought mission, specifically for killing Dreadnoughts, I don't always take 2 single target weapons. So normally, my crowd control weapon will be the Cola gun. And let's say I do the opposite. Let's say I bring the minigun. Well, I need something for single target, right? You can bring volatile bullets for that, or you can bring the burst fire gun. On top of that, you can bring the cola gun. Cola gun, fantastic choice. All of these, you're able to mix, match, and use whatever you want. Big Bertha, mostly meant for single target. Not good at crowd control? Bring the cola gun. Fantastic at crowd control. So you can use these however you want. You can mess with the builds however you want. And also something I'm going to go over, because this is just for my main character. Every one of my characters uses Elemental Insulation, Resupplier, and Vampire. These 3 perks are how I survive. For combat, specifically for my active perks, I only use them for combat. So I use Berserker and See You in Hell. I use See You in Hell for its passive ability to make you do more melee damage upon taking melee damage. Fantastic perk. Berserker kind of explains itself. It will boost your melee damage and give you lightning fast power attack recharge. I've used this so many times. It's fantastic against oppressors, it's fantastic against Praetorians, or if you're completely surrounded and you don't have a choice, maybe you gotta reload. Gunner has really slow reload times, and you don't have any other choice. Use your Berserker and slaughter all them grunts in front of you. They won't stand a chance. With Berserker, I take the damage upgrade on the pickaxe. That'll bring your power attack damage up to 240. And that's not including the extra damage bonus you get from Berserker and See You in Hell combined. And for grenades, take whatever grenade you want. I always stick with sticky grenades. They are trustworthy, they are reliable, you can never go wrong with them. For my shield, a lot of people have mixed types of ideas on how the shield should be. Sometimes it should be really big, sometimes you should have it cool down really quickly. Me personally as a gunner, what matters most is how long that shield lasts. Tier 1, I take the area of effect upgrade. That's so your shield isn't tiny. Your shield will actually be useful. Tier 2 and 3, I take duration. A 9-second shield is important. Because most times when you're playing gunner in a team, you're looking to use your shield to give you some time to kill enemies. Or you can use it to revive people. If you have a 9-second duration, you have more than enough time to get 2 people up, possibly even a third, depending if you bring field medic with this. You have an opportunity to get your team up and finish off enemies around them. Armor. My armor for gunner is the same for everyone. I will only go over it in this video, if I remember, that is. Improved generator, healthy, and their base upgrade for all of them, and shockwave. Improved generator is really important because you want your shields to be back up as soon as possible, so you want them recharging sooner rather than later. Healthy is just 20 more HP. You don't have to worry about the tier 3 upgrade. Every class will just take it no matter what. Shockwave. We'll talk about the tier 3. Shockwave will... And see, I don't use thorns. So when using Shockwave, that will help clear out the small enemies around me. Or at least hurt those enemies. So things like Swarmers that will break my shield instantly, they'll kill themselves. This is better to use than Thorns in my opinion, because this is just an upgrade rather than a perk slot. I don't like Static Discharge. I don't care about stunning enemies when my shields get broken, but it can be useful. Breathing Room is amazing for when you're getting revived. Instead of 3 seconds invulnerability, you have 6. That can be used in so many ways so you don't get downed again. Now, that's almost all I got to say. You can take a look at the zip line. I don't take anything special for it. Just might as well show it because why not? But this has been my main builds I use on every gun, my main armor, everything, for gunner. Use them however you want. This is all these are my main ones. This is what I use on Has 5 and anything lower than that. These is what I've been using for a long time, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. If If you've enjoyed this video, please like it. If you did not enjoy this video, please dislike it. If you have any questions about the builds I've gone over, or you need any help with them, or maybe some other ideas you need me to go over, please comment down below. Thank you so much. Please have a good night or day.